Item is 19-01, Little Bucks Youth Sport Training Field Grading Plan. Whoever's here for it, please step up, sign in, and give your name to the record, please.
You can sit down.
Yeah, you can sit down.
You guys gotta stand up.
I think I'm just talking to the mic.
Tim Caulfield,
Could you spell your last name, please?
C-A-U-L-F-I-E-L-D.
What's your name?
Joe Piazza, C-H-I-A-P-P-A.
Yeah, just use the mic on.
We have a problem here. Number one, we don't have drainage. Our consultants have pages and pages and pages of conditions. We do not overrule any of our consultants. So if the consultant has something that they wish to be done on it, you have to work that out with them. I mean, you can explain your project tonight, what you want to do. We're not going to read it. We'll read part of all of them, actually, for the record. But a lot of them may be new because you're going to have to change your plans to conform to what the consultants want. We'll ask the board members if they have any additional comments, and we'll go for that. But you're not going to be given a preliminary or anything else. You may, once we're done, you may ask for continuation. That's going to be up to you, and we'll go from there. But there's a lot of things that have to be addressed before you guys can proceed. I just want you to read it. Do you have a copy of all the consultant reports?
Some of them we just received, so again, we know that we're going to have to submit additional information. We're aware of it. We were told it would probably be best to still come to the meeting today to just explain the project to the board and then request a continuance, and we're already, on the comments that they had, and, we expect to, resolve it next, by the next time we come meet with you, and we're going to ask you to, appropriate date to, try to reschedule.
For everybody, is anybody here for this application? If they are, just step forward so you can really hear what's going on. Why don't you explain to everybody what you guys are proposing?
Sure. I don't know if this is the best way, it's just a Google Earth image, but we're a youth sports league that had this land donated to us, for our use, I think it was a little over 3 years ago. So basically we've been fundraising and saving and trying to come up with funds to, have the planning fees, all the costs associated with trying to complete this project, and here we are, trying to get it done. We have a local contractor, Mr. Caulfield's here representing Yonkers Contracting, who's also a board member in our league, and he's stepped up to be a resource for us to try to help build the project. They're currently working on the Tappan Zee Bridge Connector project, kind of right up the road.
In Rockland County, the project that comes off at Interchange 10.
So they have some resources locally in the area that they're willing essentially to donate to help have this resource finally, constructed for us. So there's 2 tax lots. One's a 14-acre parcel to the west, 7-acre parcel to the east. I can overlay that, make Tim more clear.
Again, this is Oak Tree Road, and then 303 is over here, so everybody's understanding where we are. And this is Jersey, it's all.
Right, this is the Jersey line.
Jersey border.
I guess I should mention right now, Crestron Electronics in Rockley Corporate Park has volunteered or given us a use agreement to use their parking lot, similar to what Verizon has done with Kroger Little League. So we don't need to construct the parking lot, which was a huge asset and savings for us, and there's no traffic essentially that will be impacted on Oak Tree Road because the entrance will all come through Rockley Corporate Park through Jersey. Right, so all our parking here, other than a few ADA spots, you know, for access and emergency egress, things of that nature. There's an existing curb cut that was constructed at 2 locations on the property when Rockland County had reconstructed a culvert for the Sparkle Creek a few years back, and there were sidewalk improvements along the whole front edge, widening, pavers, so it's a nice feature for us that's already on the front edge, something we don't have to do. So what we were planning on doing is essentially, we're not touching the 14-acre parcel at all. That has the property to the west side of the Sparkle Creek, essentially. The red line here indicates, you know, the approximate border. So we were just concentrating on the 7-acre parcel here. And what we essentially did was just have a surveyor come in, map out the FEMA 100-year floodplain for us, use that as a starting point, and we worked our way eastward. And we essentially just want to create grass areas for kids to play. We don't have like a fixed field that we put in with goalposts or anything like that. I don't know if you're familiar with, but we primarily have NFL flag football, which is really like a kind of a pickup game. I gave, just so you get a magnitude of the scale, this is basically the size of like a regulation field. We generally use much smaller fields too, whatever we kind of can find around town. This is our 4th year in existence. We have about 500 children in Orangetown, Orangetown League, and we've been bouncing around trying to find spaces. This was an amazing thing for us. Trying to develop it right now. We're kind of scrounging around where we can find a spare piece of grass. So using the outfields at South Orangetown Little League, we used Pearl River, Central Avenue, middle schools, just bouncing around, South Orangetown Middle School. So, this would be a home for us essentially. Great resource for our children, free up, resources for the town, for uses. And, we just feel this is a great passive use essentially for this, this land. It's still open space. We're just essentially, clearing some wooded areas to create the playing fields. There's some areas to the rear of the property that were actually, I found some things in the file where I guess Bergen County DPW came in and just dug out the stream and dumped the dirt all over here. So essentially we're just looking to take away these lumps and piles that are, it's a disaster, and just make essentially a gentle slope plateau. So I realize that, that is part of the drainage analysis that's requested of us to essentially prove that we're not, creating any disturbance of the hydrology of the area. I'm a civil engineer. Tim's also an engineer. We don't do this every day, but we've constructed a lot of these. I've done a lot of the culverts actually in the county after Hurricane Floyd, so I'm familiar with what flooding conditions we have from the Sparkle Creek. I'm a lifetime Rockland resident. And proponent of youth sports, and coached at Pearl River High School for a number of years, and South Orangetown Little League, and we partnered with Pearl River Little League, and Tim also 5 kids all coaching all through CYO and Little League and all that. So we're just we're trying to create a nice resource for our children essentially.
Okay. I know at the last meeting, Ms. Lehman had asked us. She brought this concept to us, but we didn't really know anything about it, that you were going to bring in some fill from the thruway authority.
Yes.
Have you started doing that?
No. What we proposed was, because of the timing, and we realized there was an approval, period where we have to get all these different agencies.
Right.
Admittedly, we tried to push it through very quickly, right? So, we're volunteers. We're doing as much as we can at night and what have you. So, we prepared as much as we could. There were some other approvals we were not, aware of or told initially from various agencies that had to go there. And they've trickled in, and, we've since talked to most of them. But, certainly, when we had the PRC meeting,
Right.
I was given a pile to address that day, and, that was only a few days ago. So, we knew that we would not receive an approval today because there's been items that we need to address. But, obviously we need a little time to address them. So, we're at the end of explaining, to whomever has questions, I'm glad to, explain everything. we'll request a continuance for, a later date to reply to the comments.
Okay. I'm just gonna go through the comments. Like you said, there are quite a few of them. I'm gonna list, I'm not gonna read every one of them. You have copies of all the comments, okay?
We do, the one from, there was one that we just received this evening.
But I'm
County
just, there's a lot of comments and questions that our consultants have that, as you go through, you develop a plan, might not be prevented anymore. So we're just gonna go through real quick and, I'll read, what's in it. January 2nd, Jane Slayton, she has one comment. December 14th, Bruce Peters has 31 comments. Like I said, we do not change any of the consultants. If you have an issue with any of these comments, you have to work it out with consultants.
Understood.
Okay? Evan Riley, Commissioner of the DEA, who I've never seen make comments before, has made comments on this, and he has 5. That was a December 14th letter.
I don't know if I have that.
Okay, you have it.
It's in the package that I just gave you.
Oh, yes, we already replied to this and
Okay.
and submitted the
That's
4
fine.
copies requested, I think, and there were no issues with it.
That's fine. Brooker Engineering, the applicant is changing drainage patterns and increasing storm runoff from the site. No stormwater remediation methods are proposed. Potential significant adverse impacts with respect to drainage have not been mitigated by the proposed plan. Therefore, we recommend that the Little Bucks Youth Sport Training Center plan not be approved for drainage. And he has 13 items. You familiar with that?
I am familiar with the firm and specifically, but the comments that he had, I think may be echoed and repetitive,
Yeah,
for
a lot
somebody
of
else.
them.
So-
Yeah.
You have to get approval from them.
Understood,
Right.
understood, and I believe that the comment was somewhat of a boilerplate comment because we did not provide an analysis. I don't know that he made a conclusion because there was no data provided one way or the other, but, we believe that, since then, we have provided a number of, and not everything has been submitted yet again because of the timing with the holidays and everything else, but, we provided a number of cross-sections that were requested by Bruce Peters, and I think a lot of these things will be clarified because it's true, some of the drafting was a little unclear and illegible, so, we took the comments, under consideration, we'll reply, and we feel that we'll have, adequate responses.
There is a lot of redundancies.
Yes, because they don't work with one another, we're all looking at it, a lot of them call the same questions. Department of Rockland County Planning, January 9th letter. Has 23 comments. Again, you might see that the county planning and Bruce Peters may have some of the same questions. January 3rd, Rockland County Sewer, they have no objections to the plan, because I wish we were moving up the sewer. Rockland County Department of Health, December 31. Again, you have to just do the county mosquito report.
Is that required even if no drainage structures are being added?
Yeah, you have to work it out with them.
No, I was under the
If you
impression.
need it from them, then you have to work it out with them. Rockland County Drainage. Okay, by copy this letter, the Rockland County Drainage is notifying municipal land use boards and departments that the project site is within the jurisdiction of the Rockland County Drainage Agency. Any further discussion or determination made by the municipal land use boards and departments regarding the site should indicate that it's within the drainage jurisdiction of the Rockland County RCDA recommends that the municipal land use boards, board departments ensure the applicant has secured the necessary permits, approvals from all the interested involved agencies, and no outstanding violations prior to granting final approval. Then we have a letter from, we're on this thing, I'm really sorry. Masira, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, no. You pointed. It's from the borough of Rockland. And it's just saying that, one of the plans were reviewed by the borough engineer to determine if there was any impact of rock properties. However, there was insignificant information to determine any impact. Quote, you will find his comments, Bill Rocky Borough regarding the project plans. And then the letter follows and has 5 comments on it. New York State Environmental Conservation.
I believe they just stated that there was no permit required from them.
Right. No, you can have to. Other permits from this department or agency may be required for the project conducted and property now or in the future. Also regulations applicable to the location, subject to determination, occasionally are revised. Private sponsors should be therefore verified any permits.
Okay, but on the first page, it just said that there's no permit required from them because it's a non-protected
It's not required, okay, to disturb the bed or banks of non-protected streams.
Your copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says the town's the lead
I'm
agency.
sure we'll get a
They're
letter
okay
from-
with the town being the lead agency.
Then we have, lead agent from the Orangetown ZBA, and we have county health and county highway.
Open letters.
Whatever you want, don't worry about it. Cheryl, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mandel?
Yeah, several questions. We haven't stored any dirt on the site, but I noticed though, there's metal pieces there, construction trailers, scoreboard, and there's rolls. Is that artificial turf that's rolled up there?
There is some used artificial turf that we given to us that we're hoping to use in the future, yes.
So it's not all grass you're gonna be putting down, you're also gonna be putting the artificial turf down possibly?
Not at this time, no. We'll be relocating it.
Yeah, but you're planning on using it in the finished site?
You're gonna store the turf, somebody gave it to them, and they're gonna just hang on.
Well,
Yeah, they might use it somewhere
Right
down
now,
the road, but not,
Natural grass.
it's still organic grass.
all right, because I see the turf there.
You know, it's there, it's given to us, well, sure, you know, but we're not gonna, use it at this time, and, we may sell it, or, if somebody else needs it, but, we're only putting in grass surfaces.
Have you checked yet the Office of Historic Preservation, according to the DEC report on page 3, New York Park, regarding the archaeological sensitive area?
That was one of the items that we talked about in the meeting, and we're going to be contacting them to, address
Yeah, because
that.
you won't get any final or anything unless you get something from them one way or the other.
Gotcha.
Okay. Have you submitted the application yet to the RCDA, Rockland County Drainage Agency?
We've not officially submitted it, but we are working on it, and I spoke to the director.
Okay, and DEME lists numerous things that is in a revised plan he's requesting. Better detail as to the floodplain boundaries, the Spark Hill Creek. Without a plan like that, I can't, in the future, vote for any approval on it, so just let you know now. And please correct the short environmental assessment form as per the DEME report. Okay, if you take a look there in the report, they note several problems with it. I think one has to do with the, if I remember rightly, give me one sec, pull it out here, Yeah, to do item 2, should be changed to yes, because you're gonna need an LCDA permit on that one. And take a look at number 13 also. And the drawing, you gotta show your site, and we need to know exactly where the 100-year floodplain is, and it's not clear within the report that was submitted. So that's just my comments now, and coming back for preliminary or whatever else. Without those things answered, that's where I stand. Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens when you come back, and I'll save any questions for then.
Mr. Hill?
No, I'm in favor of this project, but we need to be patient and go through the proper channels here. That's what we're asking you to do. And a lot of the stuff is redundant, you guys can go through this simple explanations and go through the proper channels.
Thank you.
Just continue working with the drainage agency and broker engineering as well. That's all I have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we're good. Okay, Mr. Buck?
No, I'm okay with the project. That's proposed. I just had one question. At the last meeting, Jane had talked to us about them, they have an opportunity to grab some, free.
Store dirt on the
Store some dirt on the property. I thought we were gonna let them do that. That's what I-
Yes, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
so we're gonna do it.
I don't know when you were planning on doing that, but that was the impression I got.
Unless we get approval.
That was submitted as a separate.
I understand that, but I thought we had talked about that, I thought that was gonna be,
The impression that we
Related,
were,
that was the impression I
talking
got.
about it, that was not gonna be part of the overall approval, because there was a time in
Right.
where
Yes.
the bridge authority says, you gotta get it out.
Yep.
So she asked if there was a way where they could store it on site. So I don't know what the building department's done that, if they have allocated an area for it or what.
The list that
and
you
obviously
brought
there'd
up
be stipulations,
earlier,
God forbid the thing didn't get approved,
you got through
we'd
there.
have to remove the.
So the 5-point
We were
letter,
okay with it, that's the way I understood it.
yeah, the 5-point letter from December 14th, we replied to, and that was a condition of approval. And I submitted the 4 copies of the drawings last week, so maybe it just hasn't been processed yet, but
No,
we were hoping
I
that,
didn't hear anything mentioned about that tonight, but.
I didn't know that needed to go to planning. I didn't know how that
She
worked.
just ran, I think she just ran it by us to
Gotcha.
make sure we were on board with it. And,
Gotcha.
I just didn't know that, I didn't think you guys yet.
I think we gave
My
permission that
state before they-
as soon as she was satisfied, she could make a deal with you guys.
I was just wondering if we had.
Right,
so they
that's
still-
my understanding too.
Okay. That was the deal, that as long as she was satisfied with it, she could kind of tell them that.
Right, but I was just wondering if the town had set up an area where they could dump it and just delineated the area where they are. I don't know. But I know that was a question that she had asked last meeting.
We had a plan for the proposed area that's already cleared.
Okay.
Right, that's
Yeah, I
already-
think that's what she said.
It was essentially used as a staging area when they built the bridge,
Right.
and everybody has like sub-base, it's all hard compacted, but grass has grown over it. So we provided a erosion control plan for that, and an agreement to maintain it and inspect it every week and submit the reports every week. And
What I suggest is before you start bringing material in there, come to the building department and say, listen, tomorrow we're bringing dirt, let's go over it, let's check where you want it, let them show you what they want, you show them what they want, and if they approve, then, for the dirt aspect, we have no problem with it.
It's clean fill, it's
Yeah, it's gotta be
dredging.
in the narrative, we
Yes,
told
yes.
us
New York State Thruway Authority.
they would not let you.
It's their project, within the town actually, is it's their,
Yeah.
all their checks.
Yeah, the borings, the report you submitted showed the borings were all clean.
Yeah, I think somebody said that the state won't let it come off their property unless it's just clean. Okay. Mr. Dell?
Wow, you guys really worked this over. I have some concerns, a lot of them are redundant, but maybe one or two of them are unique. First of all, just some clarity. Do you actually own the land, or are you leasing the land? Will you be given a lease for the land, or?
We own the land outright as a donation for over 3 years
So you
now.
own the land?
We have the deed to the land, yes.
Okay. Second, regarding the film, is there a timeline that the state has given you to get out the fill, or do you have any idea? Because I assume they're not going to be doing much with this time of year. I don't know.
No, we're working. Well, right now, we're drilling, large holes deep into the ground to put steel piles in for retaining walls and noise walls. So dirt is generated that way, and we are, with the heavy equipment, we can work in decent winter like we have right now. So
All
yeah,
right.
dirt is being generated.
Okay, so that's, sometimes it's suspended, but this is, I understand what you're doing. This leads into the next question, which is, how much fill are we talking about? We're talking about 100 yards, we're talking about 10,000 yards?
There's actually an earthwork summary that,
Well, do you
Again,
have to
in
know something that?
yeah, I think the short-term request was like 5,000 yards to stockpile there.
That's quite a bit. The area you're going to, if you have the permission to stockpile it, with that, I assume you would be cutting down large swaths of trees, you'd be away from the bank.
There's an area that's way out, I can show you on the plan, but it's
Okay.
essentially over in this green area,
That's all
so,
you have to do is just point. I know
right
that.
over here, and it's already, this area is clear already, like I said, from the previous project. So we submitted a plan showing the radius, and it'll be dressed up with a machine and then seeded.
No, I understand that. Next thing is, obviously, it's gonna be tested for lead, because the lead was quite high in that whole area for years, because I remember when the thruway, when it first went in, the Tappan Zee Bridge was opened in about 1955, and there was like a 20-year period, you had quite a bit of lead in the gasoline, and I assume that's being checked.
There's actually extensive laboratory reports
Okay,
enclosed in
as long as
the
it's being
narrative
done.
already.
As I said, I know
Yeah.
a lot of this is gonna be covered, but this is one individual member's concerns. Okay, next thing would be, Army Corps of Engineers, I assume you'll be working with them. Are you planning to do any mitigation? In other words, are you gonna be creating a swamp elsewhere to fill in some of these areas?
There's actually no wetlands on this side. There is no state wetlands, and there's a single federal wetland. The approximate shape is indicated, and it's not on the tax lot that we are developing.
Right, you are gonna be in the 150.
We're not entering the 100-year floodplain. We actually had that line delineated and used it as our starting point.
Okay, well, that's excellent. All right, my next question, and I don't know how far you've gotten into this. Have you contacted Tennessee Gas Transmission to A, localize it and find out what regulations there are in terms of building, let's say, a ball field in the immediate area or beyond it, or what is going to be needed for that?
We have not contacted them because their easement actually falls outside the limits of where we're developing, so we're not
So
going
you're not going to be
on
actually
their
touching
easement.
that
We're not
area?
touching it.
All right, I would suggest that you get it delineated so you know where it is, so you don't encroach on it.
We would certainly call in Code 53 prior to
The
entering
reason
the
I'm
site.
specifically mentioning it is when our dear neighbors to the south, when they did that stream widening, they almost punctured it, because they didn't know it was there. Okay, which would have caused quite a bit, because it's a very large, high-pressure gas line.
Yeah.
Does O&R Public Service have anything?
Owner has an old easement that was abandoned, that was over here, so on our site, the only easement is, there's a sewer main that comes from, actually, there's an agreement, I think, with Rockland Corporate Park, believe it or not, with the county, and they already commented that they had no issue with it. If anything, I think we're probably helping their situation because they have a pipe running through another drainage easement, the two cross, and it hasn't been maintained. So we're going to make it so that it actually flows. So that right now there's a drainage easement that runs right along the border that is from the adjacent lot, and it hasn't been cleaned in probably 20 years. So it's just filled, and that's creating, we're improving the site. I mean, it's a disaster right now. I mean, we're gonna, do good things.
That's a fun one. One final thing. You are bringing in a substantial amount of fill. I want to know if the town is considering some sort of bond to prevent a situation whereby you get 3/4 of the way filled with your, done with your fill, and then all of a sudden there's some unforeseen incident, and then you have that huge pile of earth out there which should at least be spread around. I don't know how that is handled, but I assume that something should be done, because we're not talking about 100 yards of fill here.
Well, Jane had talked about an agreement with them that if the project didn't go through, that they would remove whatever.
Well, I know, but I mean, see, I would like to see it, I think it obviously, it should be formalized somewhere.
Okay, I'll speak to Jane.
Well, that's something for you guys to decide, but I've seen that happen before here, where people came in with the best intentions, they get a sweetheart deal on fill, and what actually happens is the person who had the fill is gonna have to pay, they have dumped, they put it all in the yard, everyone's happy about the project, and for some reason or other, it doesn't get built.
No, I
Don't
think
that's
it's
the
a fair
case.
point. No, I think it's a fair point, and I'll just bring this up. Tim, how long has Yonkers Contracting been in business?
70 years.
What's, normal annual revenue projects that are completed?
Right now, we have about half a billion dollars.
No, I
in work
understand.
on it.
So that, all I'm stating is that this isn't, a little fly-by-night.
We have an
company.
agreement, yes.
We have a
We can have another
They're-
written
You
agreement
have
with the
it,
town.
that would make me
that we'll
feel
take care of.
comfortable, because sometimes
We
companies.
just don't want you to walk away and leave some of that.
It
You
makes
don't have, you don't
100%
wanna have a
sense, and I have no
17,
problem signing
71-year-old
that.
company, okay? And I don't think it's gonna happen, I don't think that's gonna happen here, but we also have to do it for precedence, because if the next people come in and they're not quite, shall we say, we don't feel as comfortable with them as we might with you, then we might be in trouble
Right.
for being arbitrary and capricious. But if you're coming where you are, I don't think there's any problem.
And I have
You
no.
probably already have that type of paperwork all ready to go.
Okay.
And I would suggest, since it's 5,000 yards, the town might want to look at that. It's not, shouldn't be that much, but it should be something, so at
Yep,
least
I agree.
there will be some publicity. All right, that's all. Sounds like a good project. So
Thank
we'll
you.
see where it goes, The devil's in the details, and we haven't
Yeah,
seen
sure.
any devils yet.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Conlon, we will, review your plan. Make sure you show the easements, the sewer pipes, the old orange O&Rs, they still on it, or they just abandoned it? Just show it on the map, and definitely show the pipeline and that property, so that you don't have to come back and just need to go back again, so.
They all are on the plan, but I think maybe drafting wise,
It
we
was
can
a
clean it up. It's just kind of
reproduction issue, and,
Yeah, a
it
little.
got plotted out and
Much,
reproduced.
maybe too much on one drawing. We'll break it up into
Yeah.
several that,
And then make sure the lines are clear.
all right.
John,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, one final question. I assume then the depth of this fill might be 6 to 8 feet in places, maybe more?
I thought the maximum was like 5. There's actually a point in this area where it was like when they dug out the stream, they piled it up into a peak.
Yes.
Where in cross-section, you'll see in our additional drawings, we're actually just plateauing it, we're not really
No,
filling it
I
in.
understand.
So I would say that the deepest part in general is about 5 feet in this area here.
Okay, how do you intend to do the compaction? You gonna bring in a sheep's foot roller, or what are you gonna do?
Small lifts and dozers.
So you're
It's
just
not gonna
compact-
support
it's
any
not
weight.
structured.
It's just gonna be,
No, I
We don't need to
understand.
bring in a 10-ton
So-
roller here, or
Yeah.
just be, we're gonna put a
I'm not, I know you're not.
a small dozer, either D4 or D5 to come in here and work the material. And between that running over it and time, it's not,
trucks.
whether it's, 5,000 or more material to create these fields, it's gonna happen over a period of 10 months
All
probably.
right,
Because
well,
the
that's-
project
that's
can't
okay.
generate that much over, a week's time, so in itself, the time and the weather and everything else,
All right. Is there gonna be a lot of blasted rock in there?
none,
Okay, so it's just all earth.
yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm gonna open this up to the public. Does anybody have any questions or comment on this project?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Come to the
James,
mic.
Please step up to the microphone, state your name.
Turn it on. And your name, sir.
James Blaze,
Spell your last name for me, sir.
Blaise,
A-I-S. And your address.
would be office or
Who you represent?
Tennessee Gas Pipeline.
Oh, good.
So, good man, thanks, Mr. Bell.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the intro.
Business address.
So 8 Angina Drive, A-N-N-G-I-N-A Drive, Enfield, Connecticut. Obviously, the project, I would like to look at those a little closer. Some of the issues that we would have would be any kind of parking,
stockpile of equipment, material, anything like that, not only over our pipeline, but within our easement, which was depicted on the plans fine. We did see some issues that we would want to be in constant communication with you guys. Your ECDs, your silt fence, I assume that that's going to be a trench at least 9 to 10, 12 inches minimum. When that goes in, we would need somebody with damage prevention on site, monitoring that. Checking the depth of our pipe, making sure we have sufficient depth at that area so that there's no contact with the pipe.
What they're doing, that's not even close to
Where,
The erosion controls cross our easement.
There were erosion controls depicted in the area I know you're referring to,
Okay.
which we had added a sort of a belt and suspenders type, like an additional
Okay.
level, and we've since been told we should not do that because that would be in the 100-year floodplain, so in our revised plan, we're actually not even going to be.
So there will be a revised plan.
Yeah.
I'm just going.
Even though we thought it was prudent, and I've seen it done in the past to
We
put it
appreciate
along the streamline, but
correspondence.
I was told not to, so
The one I saw up there had the silt fence running right across these. Another thing are the evergreens that are proposed. That's something that we would need to discuss, being planted in and around our pipe and easement. Other than that, pretty standard stuff, constant communication, call Dig Safe.
Is there an additional or a line of communication we can establish with you other than Dig Safe? Like,
Myself, and I'll get you in contact with David Wood, who's our engineer.
Okay, great.
Let me just stop this just for a second, because we have more work to do. Could you guys
Sure.
all the information you want, please, and as long as we know that you're here, you get involved, and then you're gonna have to supply whatever information that he's allowed you to do, whatever you're gonna do near the pipe.
Yep, it's always
Just work it out.
Yep,
What is the size of the pipe?
right through there, I believe that's a 36-inch pipe pressure.
And by high pressure, how many PSI?
It runs, it varies, but at peak, it might run upwards of 800 to 900 PSI or higher.
And obviously, you are an official representative of the corporation.
Correct.
And you're here in that capacity, correct? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You have a
Uh,
card?
You have a card or anything?
Yep, okay.
Is there anybody else? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Larry Butcherelli, 700 Oak Tree Road.
Wait, you're going too fast.
Spell your last name.
B-U-C-C-I-A-R-E-L-L-I.
I got it. But what is your address, 700?
700 Oak Tree Road.
Okay, go ahead, Larry.
I realize these are preliminary plans. Where do you propose parking for people that will be?
They had said that they're given permission from, I don't know the name of the company, but Crosley.
Restaurant.
I can show you.
Park there, there's not going to be any parking other than a handful of cars in the yard.
Dave, we have a use of
New York would be some, potentially some handicap parking.
correct. We have a use agreement with Rockley, or the restaurant. Actually, he's actually a good support. He actually is responsible
We
too.
appreciate it.
So you actually come through Rockley, you need to park here. So up front, we're just gonna have a handicap.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments on this? Ask for motion to close the public.
Motion to close public
Well, they have to ask for
Anybody else?
continuance.
Excuse me?
Continuance?
Yes.
Yeah, close.
If they ask for a continuance.
Yeah, we can get to that, right? We'll close the public session.
Oh, okay. Second.
Okay.
All in
Okay,
favor?
who made
All
it
in
first?
favor?
Now they can't talk.
Mr. Mendel, and then Mr. Sweeney. Okay. You guys officially have to ask for a continuation.
Can we please have a continuation?
Yes, work it out with Cheryl as once you get all your information together and shoot it back on.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Good luck with the project. I want to mention again, I don't know if anybody is here for the Orangetown quick stop site plan, that will not be heard tonight. So if you're here for that, that will not be heard. The next item is PB 19-812, reconstruction, next subdivision. Please come up, sign in, state your name for the record.
everybody. I am Bill Brodsky. I am the applicant. And Walter B. is the owner.
Yeah, anybody involved in this project, you want to sit up front so you can know what's going on? I mean, we'll have to, we're not gonna
I know,
throw you out.
you will, so I would be happy to move up.
Okay, Mr. Costa, you want to explain your project, please?
Yeah. What I'd like to do is start out with a little bit of history on this. This was originally brought before
Hang on
the...
for a minute.
Hold on.
You guys gotta take it outside, I know it's cold, we can't hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry knows better than anybody, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, so originally this project was brought before the planning board and got approval in 2013 by Ms. Kopanek. And it was subdivision of 2 undersized lots within an R15 zone. She subsequently sold the property to Walter Lee, and Walter then subsequently sold it to me. The biggest issue for this property was that when it was originally approved, probably should have had a drainage easement because everything's going downhill through the Coconut property into Steuben Avenue, but it did not. And that is probably one of our largest issues that we have on the property. Ms. Kopanek, during the process, now we were last in front of the board in May of 2018. And Ms. Kopanek was in the process of selling her house. She didn't want to be cooperative with either Walter, who bought the property from her, or myself, because she didn't want to screw up her deal with the house. So we couldn't come to any agreement with her to get any type of easement from her to go down through her property to Steuben Avenue. The subsequent buyer, the Weintraubs, both Walter and I approached Weintraubs, and they said that they did not want to sell us an easement going through their property. That was absolutely their prerogative. I probably would have said the same thing if I was just going into buying a piece of property on a new street, a new owner within that house. The problem here that lie mostly in this area is most of these streets, and I built on one of them years ago on Green Street, most of the streets in this immediate area off of Summit are older, and they don't have a lot of modern day infrastructure. So Steuben, luckily, had drainage, where Sterling Avenue had none. There was no drainage that the town of Orangetown's highway department had on Sterling Avenue. So our problem, and when I was back in front of your board, some of the neighbors, I met with some of the neighbors, and they had some legitimate issues. And one of them, I think the 2 issues that I had within this property were both the drainage and the proposed house that I was proposing. So I took them all into consideration. We waited quite a while for both the Kupanek situation and the Weintraubs to give us an answer. We finally, after getting the answer, we finally went back. And at that point in time, I still had the house that I was originally proposing, which would have needed a variety of different variances. So I decided at the beginning of October to change my approach to this whole thing. And I brought in a much smaller house, right, no garage, and it's a ranch. So subsequently, from all of what I did, I now have only one variance that I'll be requesting, and that's a front yard variance on Sterling Avenue, One of the requirements that was originally brought before the board in the 2013 approval was that the planning board required a 5-foot right-of-way extension, as they do many times, all right? That one, by doing that, they made me go from a request of a 3-foot front yard variance to an 8-foot front yard variance. I looked at most of the houses that surround us on Sterling Avenue from front yards. The majority of all the streets are closer than what we're proposing. We'll be a little bit further back than the majority of all the houses on the street. The biggest issue here then lied on what to do with the drainage. Because now I've eliminated everything else that I needed to eliminate because I don't need any more variances other than a front yard variance. What do I do with the drainage? Because Sterling Avenue had none. So the only way to take care of the drainage was to offer the town of Orangetown Highway Department to put drainage on Sterling Avenue. By doing that, I now have drainage and a place to put the drainage. Now, we're no longer seeking to put drainage going down through up our southern neighbors. The only drainage that will go down through the southern neighbors are what already exists on surface water, right? All of our impervious areas, our roof, our gutters and leaders, and our driveway will go into tanks, right, which we have, we've already done a perk test on the tank. They perk out very, very well. The soil is there, it's very good background. And by doing that, I will need to ensure that the pumps will always work. So I showed, and we discussed this with Bruce Peters from DEME, that we will put in a generator that will run perpetually off natural gas from Sterling Avenue. It will be located into the side yard, where we'll have it covered by shrubbery. We show that on the plan. And that water from the tanks there, any water that's overrun on a heavy storm, because a lot of it will absorb into the earth because it's perking very well, will then get pumped up to the new catch basins on Sterling Avenue. I have been in constant contact, and I've almost had a meeting each day this week with Mike Yanazone and Anthony from the Highway Department. They love it because now they're getting a drainage on Sterling where they had none. We're going to connect that drainage down into the intersection of Summit and Sterling. So essentially, I think I've done two things here since I've been here last. I believe that we've taken care of the drainage issue. There are some comments by both the EME and Mazer Consulting. A lot of them are overlapping. A lot of them are very easily taken care of. And then I will get a sign-off from the Highway Department of what we're reviewing right now. The only thing we're really reviewing is the type of pipe that they want in the road. And that's where we're just about. As I said, though, I listened to the neighbors. I changed the house. The house is now under 1,500 square feet. It's a one-story ranch, and I don't need, outside of that one variance for the front yard, I don't need any other variances. I'm not looking, I'm not seeking for any other variances. I think if you see the house that I put over there, I'm hoping that everybody would concur with the fact that I think it will fit in nicely with the street. It's not a big house. We decorated it nicely with stone. I understand through Jane Slavin's comments, I need to go to the Architectural Review Board. Looking forward to it. I have no problem with that. And then the only other thing I need to do is make an application for my front yard for the zoning board of appeals. Other than that, I hope that everybody sees that the plan has been altered to the, I hope, to the likings of the people in that neighborhood. And I'm just looking for your approval.
Okay, thank you. Let me go through the result. Did you have all the results reports?
I already have.
Okay, project review has no additional comments. Jane Slavin, January 2nd. comments?
Mr. Brodski's addressed one, the architectural plan came in.
Yes.
It's right here.
Okay, but it's still on your side.
Yeah.
Bruce Peters, January 7th letter, has 17 comments.
Most of his comments, as I said, they echo the other comments from Mazer, but the majority of them are easily taken care of. They're just clear.
As long as you work them out with him, he comes back and he's approved them. he has no problem. Okay, drainage from Mazer. Overall, the proposed stormwater management plan meets the intent of the regulations, and therefore we recommend that the Copac minor subdivision be approved for drainage, subject to the above project comments. There's 7 of them. Okay, I have a reconstruction Sterling Avenue narrative. I think this is basically what you just said.
I wrote it, so.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, so I mean, I'm looking at it, and I don't think there's anything else that,
All the prior letters from the, one or two previous meetings have been read into the record already.
what'd you say, everything else?
The prior letters have been already been, read into the record. Do you want them? Yeah, I
Oh,
gave them to you with the
okay,
package.
wait, no, I think I have them here.
You should have them already.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think we're already in.
Yes.
So that's basically it. Mr. Mandel, you have any questions, comments?
Here, if you please. This house has no garage. We have landscape laying in for the,
It's on the plan.
and
They have to provide that prior to be submitted.
those trees in the back, I think somebody had a comment last time about the type of tree back there.
I thought he listed it on there.
Yes, this is,
Yeah, Doug First.
right.
Yes. Yep, 12 foot on center. One thing I just want to let you know about that is that there's a foundation there to remain. The reason I did that is because the vegetation that's on that wall is pretty mature vegetation, and I didn't see the reason to take that down, just add another tree that's not as mature as that. So I just figured we'd leave that. And there's a 30-inch oak sitting right there. It's a nice tree, there's no reason to go near it. It's not, we're not going to impact it when we develop it. So I left most of that. And I promised the neighbors to the rear that I'd be planting trees to screen it.
And just checking, the area now is 1438 square feet for the house, correct? Just wanted to verify that. It says on the plan, or it's on okay. The perk test will be performed where the drywall is going to be?
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the comments from Bruce. They want us to note where the fairway did the testing.
Okay. Right, yeah, it was originally Douglas fir, you changed it to this, to the disease of Douglas fir. Okay.
Doug fir grows big and wide.
Right. Okay. Does the basement going to have a sump pump?
I mean, it's exposed in the rear,
Right.
and it's pitched away, so
Okay. This
there's.
is,
So the entire perimeter of the house,
right,
footing drains.
okay.
So I don't need some footing.
Okay. Just clarifying. And you're currently working with Highway Net to put those sewer lines in?
No, drainage line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a sewer line, a drainage
The
line.
sewer's already in Sterling, I'm just connecting into the sewer, into the sanitary sewer. What we're working with them now is to put in so we're adding 2 additional catch basins.
Right, for the water you're going to be pumping from below.
Yeah, but also to catch water on Sterling,
Right.
that they don't have now.
That's going to go down to what, Summit?
It's, yeah, there's a catch basin on the east side.
Yeah, I know that the either side of the street there on the summit.
It's got a 12 and a 15 in it right now.
Okay.
Yes.
That's gonna be able to handle the water that's gonna be pumping up from,
Yeah, with these, because first of all, we perk out so well that the only time that there's ever gonna be any impact of water into those basins will be a heavy, heavy storm, where the water's inundating the ground so quickly that it won't be able to catch it. Right, but otherwise, the soil conditions in that area are ideal for perking.
and just one on Bruce Peters' comments, you saw his number 5, hold on now, sorry. Oh yeah, the drywall's on 5, where he talks about you going from one drywall to the other. You want to be straight up.
Yeah, all we're gonna do is eliminate one of them, and run it straight into the catch basin.
What,
He didn't want the second one.
what, the side of the drywall?
Yeah,
Okay.
so he doesn't want us to discharge from one
Into
to
the other.
the other and then discharge up. He wants us to discharge straight ahead.
Okay.
So as I said, most of this is clerical, it's, it's technical stuff that will satisfy with Bruce and with Mazer.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the neighbors to the south are not going to get flooded out.
They definitely won't.
Okay, because there was problems with water, I think, in the southeast, the
Southwest.
southwest corner of the
Yeah.
property.
Actually, one of the comments from Bruce on this was whether we were gonna have an enclosed cap to our tank or open grate. My comments, and I spoke to Paul Gdansky this morning, he's only waiting to hear from what happens tonight, and then I'll give him everything. And then I already told him we're gonna do open grates. So we're gonna catch any off over the surface water, and everything will get discharged up into Sterling.
Okay, no further at this time. Thank you. Mr. Sweeney?
And my questions are mostly focused on Bruce's number 6 about the generator. I don't really see the specs on that as far as, I know he's made comments about it's in the middle of 2 terraces, on how it will be access and maintenance.
Yeah, I don't know, Paul didn't put a stairway there.
Okay.
So I drew a stairway for him to put there, and I have wrapping around the entire wall area there. I told him I want a 4-foot stockade fence. Not something that you can see through, a wooden fence that would look and be more conducive to the neighborhood.
What about like the noise mitigation?
They're very quiet, but he asked for it in there to have the noise. I'm gonna get a Generac 22 kW, that will easily cover my entire house, and then he wanted to know that too, plus the sump.
So it's going to be for both the house and the sump pump?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask next.
I spec'd out already a large enough generator to cover both the house and the sump.
Is it going to be like an automatic testing, like once a week going on, something like that? Is it going to be?
No.
Generator does that automatically.
Okay, you're going to have that, so when is it going to be doing that? Is it gonna be
The
like-
generator does it by
It's
itself.
going to be like noon?
Generator
1:30?
is computer,
So I'm saying, what time do you plan on having that happen?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Like the generator comes on for a period of time, does a run, and it turns off weekly, usually. Will it be noon, will it be 8 at night? When is that going to be?
You can program it.
I can program it. If you tell me what time you want it, I'll program it at that time.
Mine goes on 3 o'clock in the afternoon for 10 minutes.
So I would say, I would suggest sometime that's not going to,
In the middle of the day, when it won't be intrusive to
Because
the
it is
neighbors.
very close to the property.
Nobody's home and everybody's at work.
It is very close to the property, so I'm saying it'd be important to have a set time that the neighbors are comfortable with.
If you want to put it in here that I do it at 3 p.m. every day, I'll do that.
We can talk about that. Okay.
I'll be happy to do it any way you want to do it.
All right. We'll hear what the people, what have to say about that. Yeah, those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Young. My questions have been answered. Thank you. Mr. Bond.
We're going one way on the house.
Okay. Mr. Dell?
Many of the questions have been answered. It looks like a very good attempt to solve it. One question that I have is you're calling it a ranch, but obviously a single floor, but if you go to the rear elevation, it looks to be two-story. I
Goes
know
into
it's
wall.
built into the wall, but is that going to be living space down there also?
No.
So what is it gonna be, storage space?
It's a cellar. So whatever you do in a cellar, it's, you
Well,
store it in a cellar.
Well,
I mean,
what's
I'm
the
not-
height? What's the ceiling height?
9 feet.
9
I mean,
feet?
it's a
in
basement, it could be,
No, it's not a basement, it's a cellar.
well, cellar, but it's a walkout, whatever.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It's
surrounded by dirt on three
Yeah.
sides, and it's a
No,
walkout.
I understand what
But
you're
it-
saying.
No, but what I'm saying is, it could be finished off down the road, I'm sure, by the person who buys the house.
They'd have to go for
Stop me, that's it.
variances, and all the neighbors here
They have to,
would be addressed and everybody, but right now, I am not doing that. I am building a 1,438 square foot ranch with, because of the, if I would be building, if the land was flat, I'd be building a flat ranch.
I
But
understand.
because the land slopes, it is what it is. I have no other alternative.
Well, there is alternative, you could fill it, you know, but that, you're not.
No, none of the neighbors want me to fill that.
All right, well, you obviously have quite a steep drop off. How are you handling the fill that's being put along the sides of this?
It's on the plan, there's retaining walls.
I know that, but just, you're gonna have some places where you're gonna have a 10-foot elevation difference between, let's say, where you walk out here and the street level.
Yeah, and we have 2 4-foot rubber walls, and then we have 4-foot technical walls. We have rubber walls connecting into a rubber wall on the east, and we have a technical wall, all right, on, to the west. But the differences in elevation from the rear is 2 4-foot walls. So we're stepping it up.
Right.
I made sure, especially with the rubber walls, that I have stairs, so you can walk from the front to the back of the house. Right, so there's easy access from the front to the rear, and there, and 2 8-foot walls plus the drop from the difference from the box beam down to the grade level is another foot, so that's 9 foot.
Yeah, I see that. I just wanna make
So
sure.
I absorb it all with the stone walls on each side of the house.
Okay, the final point, Applicant will probably take care of this, but you're showing the spacings between your evergreens in the back of approximately 6 feet. And being that these stratified and similar varieties grow in width about 6 inches per year, so in other words, a foot per year because you have 2 of them, it's gonna be 6 years before they're even beginning to touch down there. And I think that could be solved by putting in a couple more.
If you want,
Yeah.
if you're recommending when I go back to the Akabor to throw in 2 more trees to bring them in,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do it.
Okay, and particularly in the north southeast corner, you could possibly do something there. Other question is, I didn't understand why you were removing the 2 evergreens in the front.
Because I have to put the whatchamacallit there, the force main goes there. Goes right through the trees.
I know, it couldn't be
I will kill the roots no matter how you look at it.
a bulk.
If what the board asked me to do is to take another evergreen tree and put it there, I'll be happy to do that too.
I think that might be an idea. I realize one of them is in bad shape.
Yeah, one of them's almost dead.
I wouldn't say it's almost dead.
Well, it's on its way.
It's
Let's put it
on
this
its
way.
way, yes.
All right, and if you want, I'll, for Akabor, I'll include that.
Well, this is, something else. But eventually this obviously has to come back to us. It's a difficult lot. It looks like we put a lot of thought into it. And hopefully it's going to work. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
More questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, looking at the floor plans, your basement, you have a proposed future bath, optional roof in. It's not a half bath, looks like a full bath down there.
I just did it in case anybody doesn't have to dig up the foundation. If they want to put a bathroom down there. I can eliminate it too, doesn't matter to me.
Just asking, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna open it up, the public session. I want everybody to have the opportunity to speak. I want to limit you to 3 minutes. There's quite a few people who want to, get the process going. So whoever wants to speak on the project, please stand up at a microphone, state your name and your address, and tell us what you have to say.
Teresa Loveman, 26 Steuben Avenue.
Okay, just spell your last name for me.
Loveman, Loveman,
And I'm sorry, what was the number again?
26.
26.
Ours is the property that sits considerably lower from all directions, but especially of concern is that southwest corner of this subdivision, which is the lowest point of all. We just want to make sure that all the concerns are addressed. The Mesa review states that it is not clear where runoff in the rear yard is going. That's written in it. That concerns me greatly. We have water. The perk test that he says is so wonderful. If that water is so perk, why do I have standing water in my yard when it rains? I can show you folks pictures. It is a big problem. Maybe this will alleviate that. We just want to make sure that all these things are addressed properly. There seems to be quite a few discrepancies concerning the drainage design in regard to pipe size, type, inverts, covers. I realize some of that stuff is easily fixed. We just want to make sure it is fixed. And regarding that south and southwest property line, the review states that contour 146 and 148 cannot be constructed as shown, and contour line 148 is too steep. So what slope stabilization is going to be provided other than that proposed berm? And regarding that berm, there do need to be more specifics. We would like the plantings to be specified as deer resistant due to a current large deer population that frequent that exact lower path. And we would also like them to be spaced closer together. There's also a gap in this silt fence in that southwest corner, according to the review. And the updated review of the Mazer consultant from December 31st still makes a note of a low spot in the drywall location in that southwest corner. It also states there is not adequate access for maintenance, and in fact, it suggests that it's set up for maintenance issues. I realize they said that they were going to be addressed. We want to make sure they are going to be addressed. And also in the 2017, Mr. Brodsky created two LLCs, Ryerson Farms and Ryerson Estates. Both of these are listed with the address as 334 Middletown Road, Nanuet, and that address is also the address of Teresa Kenny, who had been previously listed as the attorney regarding this project. Teresa Kenny is the first deputy town attorney. I do believe that's a conflict of interest here. Also, since there is no drainage on Sterling Avenue, and I do realize they need to coordinate with the town and the highway department, but there also is a lot of clarification that needs to be done on that plan according to this review. The clarification as to which inverts are proposed and which are existing. There needs to be verification that the proposed invert is not lower than the existing invert. It is very technical, but we just want to make sure that it's done properly and that it's all going to be something that is easily settled. We don't want the people on Sterling Avenue to have a problem with this down the road either. Thank you.
Want to answer any further questions?
Sure. First of all, most of her comments have already been addressed, especially if you look at the plan, the silt fence is no longer a gap in the silt fence. As far as the rest of it, most of it was technical conversation with both the EME and Mazer to make sure that we did cover and that we did recapture most of the water before it enters the southwest corner. I do believe that this will be, because we're redirecting the water now. We're redirecting the water from what was going down toward the southern neighbor's property toward Sterling Avenue. By doing that, it's going to cost us a substantial amount of money to put the drainage in Sterling Avenue, and we'll go through all the technical aspects with the different agencies, especially the highway department, who's most impacted. And we'll make sure that the catch basins are proper, the type of pipe is proper, the sizing of the pipe is proper. All of that will be addressed. As I've already stated, I'd be more than happy to put more trees in the back and put them closer. I'll be happy to replace the other trees that were going through on Sterling Avenue. And I believe that in the long run, everything that's over there, we will clean up the lot, we will make it look a lot better. I do believe that by the house, the change in the house, it's more in keeping with all of the neighbors' houses. It's not overreaching into the neighborhood. And to answer the question about standing water on the property in the rear, that's because it's probably not pitched properly, and that there's low points on the property after it rains, and that's something that I can't cure because it's not on my property, but that's exactly what happens. After it rains, the water settles, and then it hits pockets, and then they take longer to absorb, and they take longer to evaporate.
Thank you. Anybody else want to talk on this? State your name and your address for record, please.
Ken Schmidt, 20 Sterling Avenue,
Wait, just spell your last name for me.
SCHMIDT,
I'm sorry, what was the number again?
20.
20 Sterling?
I'm just curious as to why the catch basins are going to be set back 5 feet from the edge of the road.
I believe that's town requirement.
Most of the time, curb irons are set even with the curb, even going back 5 feet. All those houses have very small front yards, so you're going to be 5 foot back from the edge of the road. Most of the time, curb irons are set to the curb line. So I'm just wondering why, because they're going to be back 5 foot, and they had wings on them, so you're going to be taking up 10 foot of someone's front yard.
Can you
Yeah,
answer?
I know exactly what. First of all, it's not 10 foot off of the road.
No, I said 5 foot.
No, I apologize, I misspoke. It's not off of, it's off of the asphalt, but not the right of way. So the catch basins are still within the right of way, they're not in anybody's front yard. The reason that they are this way is that Jim Dean did not, my original proposal was on the edge of the road, all right? Jim didn't want it that way. Jim wanted them 5 feet off the road with a swale catching them into there and then taking it down to some of the area. This was asked to us by the highway department. We didn't just come up with it. My original proposal was to put them on the edge of the road, and they said absolutely not.
Well, I know a lot of times if you have it on the edge of the road, the water runs, some of it will run past it. So if you have it back and there's an lake that catches the majority of it, so I think that's really why he wants it.
I'll tell you, the biggest issue for Sterling, Clinton, Green, are all the same. Except Green, I built that years ago. They don't have a crown. There's no crown on the road. So the water is meandering as it goes down the road because it's not being pushed. So by doing it this way, you're pushing it into the catch basin and then capturing it with the mouth coming in. That's why Jim wanted it that way. This is purely Highway Department, Jim Dean.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Victoria Schmidt, 20 Sterling Avenue. So speaking to the point of catch basins, if I'm understanding this correctly, the pipe is going to be run under the 3 properties between that address and Summit? Because the catch basins are going to be 5 feet off the road. So the front yard of these people is only 10 to 15 feet. So the one catch basin seems to be in the grass for the first house. The second house is all driveway. So the front yard of that house has to be ripped up. The driveway needs to be ripped up for the next house. Then the driveway for the next house and the rest of their property to make it to Summit. Am I correct?
No.
So how are you going to install the pipe? And
The
catch basin?
pipe, let me try to explain how it all works. A right-of-way, in this particular case, because the right-of-way is older, that's why we needed to give the 5 feet in the front. This right-of-way is 40 feet.
Well, I understand a right-of-way, but I'm asking about the specific pipe and the
I'll
specific
explain.
storm drains, where they're going to be located and how they're going to be put there.
I'm going to explain that. A right-of-way is 40 feet, the road is about 20 feet. That leaves 10 feet of right-of-way still remaining. It's not the neighbor's property. All right? It's still within the town right-of-way. All right? The pipe that we're putting there is a 12-inch pipe. All right? The impact that we'll be doing will be very small because we don't need a large machine to put in a 12-inch pipe, right? So the bucket size that we'll be working with will probably be somewhere in the nature of about 15 to 18 inches wide. right?
So, excuse me, is the pipe going to be run under the road?
The pipe is run under the right-of-way.
Right away.
Part,
Not under the road. So it's
Not under the
right of
road,
way
not-
is in the front yards of the people who live on Strong
the right-of-way is part of what you perceive to be their front yards, but it's not their
So
front yards.
visually, if I'm looking at the house, the first so many feet is the right of way, but visually, it's the front yard.
You will not, when I'm done, you will not have a visual look.
But that is an
Of-
accurate statement, that in order to install the pipe, you will need to install the pipe, tear up the lawns and the
No.
driveways.
No, no,
And what about installing the storm drains? You will need to remove portions of the front grass
no, no.
and
No.
portions of the driveway and install the...
Portions of what is the shoulder of the road that is asphalt will get taken up.
There is no shoulder, it's road and front property. It's-
He's talking the asphalt, so that's part of the road.
I,
It's part of the right-of-way, which is part of the road.
I really suggest every member come down Sterling Avenue, look at the property, and look at the homes, and understand how the pipe is going to be run and where the storm drains will be.
This pipe and these catch basins will be beneficial to Sterling Avenue when we're done. There's no drainage in Sterling Avenue. This is why Jim Dean wants the catch basins to go in there. He has nothing that captures water over there. This will help in every aspect. This will help in drainage.
This is basically a town design, the town wants this.
Okay, and right now, we have no drainage issues.
But we're trying to correct that problem.
But we don't have a problem right now. We don't have a drainage issue on Sterling Avenue right now. Our properties are not flooding because our front yards are level with the street. There's no drainage issue right now on Sterling Avenue. So that's
And
my
as
point.
I've
and-
said, I was trying to work this out.
This is what the town wants. You have to take that up to the highway department.
And did you say that was Mike Amazon?
Mike Anazone's retired.
Yes.
So before Mike left, I was dealing with Mike. Now I'm dealing with Anthony. All of this has got to, and this is what I was told yesterday, all of this, everything that we've discussed, has got to go through Jim Dean for his sign-off of it all. And in addition, one of the comments from Bruce Peters was he wants an establishment of what it's going to cost me to bond that work prior to me getting a write-off from him.
Okay, just one more quick and then I'll be done.
You had your 3 minutes, man.
I know, but he spoke during my 3 minutes, so just one more quick comment, okay?
Okay.
Is that during the original subdivision meetings, the subdivision was based on no additional variances being issued. The drainage was discussed during those meetings, and if I'm not mistaken, the 1,500 square foot was the limit on the house. So that was known at the time the property was purchased. So the hardship
But
between
he's
the
under the
time of the
1,500.
subdivision
He's
and
under the
now.
1,500. He's under the 1,500.
Yes, and that was the limit. So my point being that all these other meetings we've had about plans is a hardship he created because he knew at the time of the purchase of the property what the limits were, including the drainage.
I don't have one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none? Yes, state your name and your address, please.
Dave Weintraub, Weintraub,
And you're
20 student, right behind. I guess I wasn't, Mr. Brasky was telling me about the pumps that are going to be put in to pump the water back to Sterling, and then Mr. Sweetie was talking about the generators. Does that create a lot of noise? Is that something I'll be hearing on a regular basis?
That's
I generally have no
It's
idea.
only an emergency generator if the power goes out.
Okay,
It's like a standby, some of the homes in the town have standby generators.
Okay.
If power goes out, they'll go on. It's the same thing for this pump. Mr. Brodsky guaranteed that the pump will run 24 hours a day, whether it be with O&R power or with standby power.
It's done with O&R.
At my time at Apple, I know that they will review the specs for the generator, the sound, the noise, the distance.
They're
proven
pretty quiet.
and not just the generator, but is that pump to get the water up to Sterling something that's going to be happening whenever it rains, or only when it needs?
Only when power goes out.
Only when the power goes out.
No.
For the generator, the water will be pumped whenever it is.
Whenever there's water, the pumps will go on.
Are those pumps very noisy and loud as well?
No,
They're under, they're 7 feet underground, and on top of which, it only is under extreme rain.
Right. If there's
The
no
rest of it, the water absorbs into the earth below.
Mr. Brodsky, I have a question for you. The pump itself is electric?
Yes.
Okay, and then it's normally run off O&R electric, correct?
Normally, yes, under normal circumstances, it's
But if there were
from the
power
house,
failure, then there's a gas backup generator.
natural gas to this
But
generator.
normally, let's say if there's a rainstorm and the power's doing just fine, it's just gonna be a standard electric pump,
Yeah, if needed,
if it's needed,
yeah.
okay? Is that all clear?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Another question. You spoke before that the ceiling plans is 4 dry wells on the back of the property, correct?
Yeah.
You said you're removing one.
Yeah.
Which one is being removed?
The one to the far right, it's an overflow. It's an overflow, that's all it was meant to be. It was overkill, and it was just, and then Bruce said he didn't want it, which was fine with me, because it was an overkill, just to make sure that nothing happened. But Bruce said he didn't want it, he wants it to run directly from that pit right into the catch basin.
Okay, so right now we have 3 dry wells out there.
Right.
You're pumping from which wells?
It's moving from west to east. All right, the overflow will run over, and the pump will be in the eastern quadrant.
Okay, so the pump is going to be, that'll be the one all the way to the west?
East.
Each.
The one you're taking out is to the east.
They're both, there's 2 of them, we're taking one out.
Excuse me. I wanted to answer to my satisfaction, Mr. Sweet. You said you're taking, which pump is dry well we're taking out? The one all
It
the
doesn't
way-
really, it doesn't matter.
No, but I'm saying.
There's only gonna be one when I'm done. So it doesn't matter which one of the 2 comes out, there's just gonna be one there, and it's gonna pump right in.
Okay, it's on the east side you're taking them out.
Yes.
Okay. On the west side, which pump, which dry well is going to be sump out?
Neither. What happens is the water comes from the impervious areas, goes into those 2.
Yeah.
Right, whatever is not absorbed into the ground through the
Right.
perk will then overflow going into this chamber. This chamber then will fill up, all right, and when it hits the sump, then it will pump it straight up into Sterling area.
So you're talking which is the pump then? Which one?
The eastern one.
All the way, that's the one you're taking out, you said?
No, there's 2 of them
Yeah, you're taking out one.
The far east he's taking out.
Right, the one next to it is going to have the
there. The pump.
pump, all right.
Right.
That's what I'm asking. I see it here on the thing, but I just want to verify which we're taking out.
100%.
So I want to see them taken out on the other side. Now the water is running, I see is that a drain all the way at the top? of
There's a
the-
drain on the driveway, yes.
Right.
Drain on the driveway, plus the gutters and leaders, plus any of the wall drain from those 4-foot walls.
We're all
Will
coming,
then step themselves down into the pits. Now, you have 3 70-foot pits there.
right.
So there's plenty of capacity for the water to be held. This is why I was saying the area will be beneficial that is going down into that area, into the southwest corner. And that's why when I was asked what I wanted to do with the grates, I had open grates.
Right.
So we'll capture that water before
Right.
it gets down there.
And do you plan on a berm on that southwest corner?
There already is a berm there. If you look, you see the hard line over there, there's a berm.
The only difference is I'm not putting trees there because,
Right, because of the concrete foundation that's there.
yeah, not really, but the biggest issue is there's a lot of mature growth there. If I plant evergreens over there, they need a lot of sunlight.
No, it wasn't even looking as far as the berm, but it's the
The
swale.
berm,
at
the
that
berm
point.
is still there.
Okay, well, how high is that?
2 feet.
2 feet, that's,
There's no dramatic drop, from us into the property neighbors.
so it's more of a swale there at that corner then?
Yeah, to capture itself into those catch basins.
Okay, so it would be sloped, because right here I'm looking at the plan itself, and it shows it says sloping down towards that southwest corner.
Yeah, and that was the whole idea. That's actually what, I met with Mazer a while back, and that's what Mazer asked me to do.
Slope it down towards the adjacent
Well,
properties.
that's its natural flow anyway.
But
Its
it's
natural flow is in that direction.
Right, but if you now have a swale there, so the water would not be flowing off the property.
Well, right now, it's in its natural state. So the swale is gonna help us direct it toward those 2 open grates into the chambers.
So then the slope would not be there then?
It'll still slope itself in that direction. That's why Mazer asked us to put the arrows there. They will still slope it toward those chambers, all right? But now, with the open grates, it will go right into the chamber. And then if it need be, it'll pump itself back up to Sterling into the catch basins.
No,
And as I said before, the highway department wants the catch basins.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about catch basins up top. Just talking about the southwest corner, all right?
Right.
Now, anything that flows past those catch basins there are the dry wells, right? It's gonna go to-
It'll be less than what's flowing past there
But
now.
it's still gonna go to that southwest corner.
Yeah, but it'll be less than what's traveling there
So
now.
what's gonna prevent that water, once it gets to the southwest corner, going out to the neighboring properties?
It's still going out there now. Our responsibility is to capture the impervious areas. I can't capture everything and alter the earth that much. So what we did here, to capture as much as we possibly can and lessen the impact to the abutting neighbors, is we put the open grates into those, so then the water is directed into the tops of those, and they will absorb it into the ground. As I said before, I believe when we're done here, it will be better for the neighbors than when I started. And I did exactly what the neighbors asked. And I will be happy to put more trees there to give a better, I'll do that. I don't know, I don't believe, and your board will tell me better. I don't believe I need to do that now. I believe to do that before the architectural review.
So when we're looking a little further up on that west side there, you had a 4-foot wall drain, and a low flowing in there too.
Sure. Sure. Everything is directed into those pits and then gone underground. And as I said, most of it's going to be redirected underground instead of being surface water. It'll be subsurface water.
And this is the last question, is it's coming from the west to that first dry well, from the west going east, from the property line there?
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be on the west property line coming over towards that first dry well.
Okay.
Is that slanted towards the property line there, or is it slanted towards the dry well?
Drywall.
Okay,
Slope goes right into the drywall.
slope is dry well. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just 2 quick points of clarification. First of all, Mr. Brodsky, I assume that these catch basins, they have infiltration actually potential as well as exfiltration. In other words, water can come in, correct? Correct, okay. Now, at what depth will the shut-off be for the pump?
Normally what the pump is that we have, the depths of the tanks are about 7 feet.
And
The height of the mechanism that turns the pump on is usually a foot higher.
So
We
6
have
feet
it,
down.
yeah, 6 feet down.
So essentially what's going to be happening is you'll be actually getting rid of groundwater because if your well's dry, everything will come into that area.
Sure.
And so you'll be actually making that whole back area
Sure.
more dry.
Yeah.
If you basically have a de facto sump pump in everyone's backyard, it's going to help get rid of some of that water.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that, but you're right. What I will be doing is lowering the water table.
Good, in that area. So that's always a good thing. Next question, the sewage. Are you going to have a pump on that sewage or not?
Not at all.
But if you put it downstairs, you'll obviously do it, right?
No, because if you do anything downstairs, you do it with a grinder pump. You have,
Well, you're still gonna have to have a pump downstairs to get.
I won't.
But that's
a
not the
future
proposal
homeowner.
now, but if they do,
If
that
they-
would
If they
also
do, they'd
be-
have to have a grinder pump to pump up into the sewer. The sewer, because of the elevational differences between Sterling and the rear yard of that property, because they're about 9 feet in height, I'll probably have the, I have to look at it closer, but I'll probably have the height of the invert of the sewer coming into the house about 4 feet lower than the front yard,
All right, so you're gonna have more than enough positive drainage.
more than enough.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to close the public session?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, do you want to go with preliminary on this? If you do, you know, the agent.
I like motion lead.
Okay, Mr. Bond makes a motion, second.
Second.
Mr. Young, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, make the motion for that. Mr. Bond, second. Second. Mr. Young, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, preliminary conditions. Jane Slavin, January 2nd.
Make the motion.
Excuse me?
Who made the motion?
Mr. Bond and Mr. Young. Jane Slavin, January 2nd, 2 points, 2 items. Bruce Peters, Department of Engineering, the date, January 7th letter, has 17 items. Okay, Major Engineering, there's December 31 letter, is 7. And that's it. Anything else, Sharon? I think
You
that's
wanna
it,
look
right?
through the prior letters?
Excuse me?
You wanna look through the prior letters?
I think we read them all in, didn't we?
Yeah, but you wanna pick anything, items out as conditions.
Mr. Dell, you said something?
Yeah, that the applicant has agreed to add additional evergreen plantings in the front and rear yards. Just leave it at that.
I think we have it, said they would do it.
Yeah, so we have a decision there, because he said so. Shouldn't be fine.
What do you want them all set?
You could figure it out, but you know, something like 4 or 5 feet. More in distance between the spreads, okay?
Between the outer limits?
Yeah,
Okay.
because right now it's 6 foot. They're gonna grow no more than a foot a year if you count both of them. So it'll only be 6 years before they're touching the bottom. You bring them in a foot or two, obviously you want to give them room to grow and everything else, but
No problem.
give them some extra price. Because they're not that tall, only 6 to 8. You could have also put them into 10 size.
Well, you're able to have a 2-foot berm, so I'm up at 10 feet at that point anyway.
No, I understand.
The only question I have is one of the ladies had said that in the original subdivision, that there was a condition that there will be no variances. How do we?
I didn't see that in the
We
resolution.
like that.
It's just a
It's
question.
not, it's not in the resolution.
Okay,
I
it's
read the
just a question
resolution.
that I'm bringing up because I know one of the ladies had asked about it.
According to Mr. Oliver, they looked and they couldn't find it.
Okay.
So,
I'm only asking for a front yard. I changed everything around, so I didn't ask for much. And I have to, because there's no way to put that ranch in there otherwise.
So you're gonna have to go to
I just want to
ZBA?
satisfy that question. That's
I did that before I bought the property.
So you will have to go to ZBA, correct?
What my only request here is if I'm
No, I
going through.
understand. So you're
Can I go to
gonna
ZBA
hear about
while, and Akabor now?
Well, as soon as
No, that's what I'm asking.
It shows saying yes.
Yeah, the next step is zoning board.
Okay, I didn't know, I was
Does
just.
anybody else have anything else on this?
Just when he comes back, he has the
Okay,
updated
yeah,
plans, the
okay.
highway.
We'll be here.
So I need a second for preliminary.
You'll know I do.
We'll be here.
Yeah, you'll know I do.
You first, I mean.
Bruce,
I think
second.
we just made the
Mr. Young,
first.
second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None?
Thank you.
Very good, sir.
You got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work.
Not really. Most of it get done very easily, but I appreciate your time.
Don't say it's like-
Bob, you and I only know each other too long.
I remember the first meeting.
Everything went to hell in a
You
handbasket.
quoted the Constitution.
19, and you know what? You know who represented me first? Mark Lincoln.
Oh,
Yes, that was it.
he had the
He was so drawn. He fell over on his head.
Other business.
We have other business, guys. Other business. Sit down, Bruce.
hopefully we're gonna work out.
Paul, could you do me a favor, take it outside, we have other work to do.
No, the first time it's here. She was the Constitution. This is like 30.
Excuse me.
Outside,
Stay outside.
Good night. You can stay if you want, you gotta be quiet. We're not having.
They can't stay. They can't be quiet.
Okay, the first is, this, you got a copy of this. It's, Jane wanted you to look at this and see if you wanted to see it as an item in front of the board, or if the building department can, just take control.
What are we doing?
Oh, a small extension in the rear and a deck, a handicap ramp in the front.
I say it's nothing. Be right back.
It's the house, or how you going up?
That's next to Riley,
Yeah,
before Riley.
it's the house, there's like, the restaurant.
Between the bagel place, Mexican bagel place, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like a
This is
house.
Schroeder, this is Dr. Schroeder's back there.
Yeah, it's a house. I think she's out of there now.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah, no, this is mine.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
It's a nice place.
Okay, and then we have Mazer and Brooker Engineering fees
Your fees.
for 2018. We need to look at it, and if you agree, we
Too
need to
high.
sign the contract and send
Too
it.
high, reduce it by 10%.
I'm not making that much.
18's rates were too high. No, I just don't see it. What did you talk, $5, basically?
If you agree, Tom, can you sign the date? The Brooker one, Mazer, I just need your verbal approval. Or just sign Mazer too, so I have something.
Anything else?
Decisions, December 12th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes on December 12th.
I'll second that. All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.